Good morning. Good morning. Day 3 of 10 Days of Lightness. Welcome to this place of sanctuary. I greet you on this Easter Sunday. Welcome. Welcome to this place of sanctuary, a place for you to join me here heart to heart on this Easter Sunday, beginning by lighting some sacred fire, Palo Santo. And I would like to begin today, as I am lighting this sacred smoke, clearing the way for us to come in to sacred space together, with some words by Rumi, The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Today's theme is courage and compassion. And I reflect on these words from The Guest House, this being human, and how each day we have a new experience, and so often we really only want to welcome in those experiences and states and conditions that we consider to be lovely and of the light and joyful and make us feel good. And today, on this Easter Sunday, that is the day of the resurrection of the Christ, we go to this place of the Christ within and understand that the metaphor is very alive in us, that to come 3 days after the darkness of the crucifixion to the resurrection, we must go down into that dark place where, as Rumi says, where the dark thought, the shame, the malice come to us and work in us. Another one of Rumi's poems is, "How will you be polished if you are irritated by every rub?" And I love that particular quatrain because we get tied in the knots of our own thoughts, of our own, the crucifixion of our own mind. And it's when we meet this pain at the door laughing and invited in, it loses its charge, it loses its hold. And I came today to this circle a few minutes late, because that's the kind of day it's been. And I want at 11:11, every one of these days that we're setting is a planetary offering of peace and calm. Today's prayer for personal and planetary peace. I am divine light. I am divine truth. I am divine love. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way. Through you I rise. Divine Beloved, open me to the way of courage, clarity, and compassion. Shower me with the light of the Christ consciousness that I may embody unconditional love, kindness, and your spirit of grace. I am divine light. I am divine truth. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way. Through you I rise. So what does that mean to you? How are you feeling on this Easter Sunday? I am so grateful to have this space, this creation of social media and this live video interaction where we can come together in a virtual way in these times where we are separated physically. And please, in the comments, I would love for you to share how you are feeling, what you are summoning by way of courage and compassion to meet yourself in the times when the darkness arises. And, you know, I want to be completely open and honest because this has been such a roller coaster ride, this time of transformation on planet Earth. So many ups and downs, and you know, every day there's new information about the virus. Every day, new statistics and new ways that we are all drawn into this space of what may come and the potential for fear to have us in its grip. That to activate within ourselves this antidote, this deep resilience and radiance that in this now moment, no matter what is arising, I meet it with my heart open. And I say this because yesterday, after yesterday's time together, it was such a hard day for me yesterday, and so much of my shadow was arising. And I found myself stumbling on some of the fear that I have in my own family. I have several family members who are journeying through cancer, and elderly, frail parents who are locked in right now, as we all are, in their own home with their frailty and their fear. And yesterday I ended up just really meeting my own shadow in such a profound way. And I say this to you because, you know, we are not here to, well, we are here to be whatever we are, but the invitation to not use the phrase spiritual bypass, to cover over our heavy, fearful feelings, but to actually, in our humanness, meet however we're feeling, and especially in those times where we're on our knees, where we're afraid, where we're prickly and irritated and finding ourselves responding in less than a compassionate way. I thought that I would bring in that Rumi poem because right now we are all kind of locked into the guest house of our own being. And, you know, being here in this place, either alone or with other family members that are going through their own process, there's so much potential for us to meet each other's irritation, to meet each other's shadow, to meet each other's exhaustion. And I want to say that the compassion that we cultivate for ourselves right now is so So vital, so important. And I say this kind of compassion that only arises in times of deep adversity, that we are literally shaped by the heavy lifting of what comes to us. So how do we break the bonds of this experience of, whatever may arise that is less than pleasant, that is powerfully challenging? And how do we cultivate the courage to choose differently so that we don't create further pain in our own mind, with our beloveds, with the people we're in lockdown with, quarantined with? So I want to say, first of all, if you have moments where this irritation arises or you get off center, I give you such a high five, right now, for, not falling into old ways of reacting and responding. And maybe you are. I mean, at this time, we have to be merciful for ourselves in whatever way we're coping. And in this 10 Days of Lightness, what I was really wanting to bring to you, to me, to all of us, is this deep compassion for the courage to not fall into either old traps, old coping mechanisms, and to use this time, this adversity, as this powerful personal trainer to hit the pause button and perhaps not reach for a food, substance, drink, something that might, in past times be your go-to. And to stay in that empty space, to try not to dull or dim, to eat away or drink away or run away from what is arising, and just meet it. Meet it with that powerful compassion. Oh, there's a siren and some fire truck going by right now, which the outer world right now is full of this messaging and imagery of moment to moment, when, whatever is meeting our senses by way of a trigger. Oh, actually, I'm hearing it as actually music. Isn't that interesting? It wasn't a siren at all. Somebody is out there playing horns, and it's such a delight. And that's also the times we're in, because the discernment of what is actually arising for us. So I'm just listening for a moment, because it actually now feels like a combination of sirens and trumpets and who knows what it is, because the world is a twilight zone right now. So there's something cool happening in my neighborhood. That's all I know. So as in this, you may even be able to hear it. Okay, perhaps it is a parade of first responders that are coming down my street. Whatever it is, I'm delighting in it. And as I began today's circle with Rumi's poem, whatever arises, even if, the malice, the thought, the joy, the depression, welcome it. So back to what I was saying about compassion and courage. And my day yesterday, where I felt like I deeply fell into my frailty. And where I went with that is out for a walk in the woods. Thankfully, we're still able here to go out into nature. And for me, grounding in nature is so important. So to take yourself out of the situation of that which may be the trigger, and to really and truly give yourself a break, because these are intense times. And to whatever your spiritual tradition is, today being Easter, I think of the light of the Christ and what the Christ consciousness represents is that unconditional love, that embrace of our humanness. And that means the dark and the light. I'm going to swear the shit and the glory. And the essence of the Christ consciousness is that deep, abiding, mothering love that says, I know you're hurting. And I know that you are filled with what you perceive as your imperfections. But you, seen through the eyes of the Christ, we are all here learning our lessons. And to rise, we fall. To build the musculature of the resurrection, we experience the crucifixion over and over again in our lives. So compassion, at the heart of compassion, is just showing up again and again, as imperfect as we are, and yet we are perfect. This is the paradox. We fall, we falter, and yet the beauty of our fervent love is that we say, okay, I see my shadow. I see the way that I'm lashing out at whoever it may be. For me yesterday, it was my partner and me just really coming to the end of ourselves and having been together for a month, and it was just irritation and misunderstandings, and hey, we are all human. But what I love is, as the day unfolded, we did not get off the couch until last night. You know, sometimes it was getting a bit heated, but my vow was, I am not going to bed until we have had the opportunity to see each other's hearts. Hey, we even tried to do a talking stick. I didn't have my beautiful quartz crystal. I had a salt shaker that we were passing to each other. And I laugh in all humility, because working it out right now is such a deep practice. And so I honor you for wherever you are right now. And I want to share with you this beautiful print that I was given many years ago. It was actually on the wall of my therapist's office in Toronto 20 years ago. And I admired it and loved it so much that when I left this beloved therapist's practice, she gifted me this print. And, you know, my spirituality is expansive. I embrace Buddhism and Christianity and Hinduism, native indigenous traditions. My spirituality embraces all traditions, and I draw from each one of them. I believe there are many roads to Mecca. But in this image, I want to share with you today, resting in this space, when we come into the knowing that we are like this lamb. We're so innocent, really, aren't we? And this embrace of the Christ, we see the stigmata on his hand, this artist's rendering. And I'm sharing this with you because it is a beyond words embodiment of that feeling of being held. And I feel like right now in the world, that's what we need the most, is to feel this compassion, to feel this unconditional love. So I have this hanging in my bedroom, and I thought on Easter Sunday I would share this with you and really love you to drink in the imagery of this unconditional love, this true compassion. And when we think of ourselves as this innocent lamb, you know, we let go of all of our egoic ways of trying to be something in the world. And also shaming ourselves or feeling guilty, feeling less than, feeling whatever we're feeling that, it's intense right now. And to offer ourselves in this space of sanctuary, this deep understanding, and just to quietly hold ourselves in that place, in that space of beautiful love, beautiful compassion. So I'm going to stand up and reach over because I forgot my Kleenex. So I am wanting to share today a practice of pranayama, which is a yogic breath technique. And I'm going to blow my nose for a second, excuse me. Because you may want to do the same. You may want to have some Kleenex clear nearby. In this time when so many heavy, dark emotions may be presenting, and sometimes it's seemingly out of the blue, what I'm overlaying over this 10 days of lightness is feel to reveal what is arising to be healed. And I might even say to be released. Because as we allow ourselves to feel and get comfortable with the uncertainty of what may be arising from the subconscious, from the basement of our being, sometimes those parts of us that we don't like very much, our impatience, our anger, our grief, even those things that are difficult emotions to be with, we can push them down, push them away, distract ourselves. We don't want to experience that feeling. And in our world, we have suffered the disease of disconnect. We live from here to here. It's very easy from here to here to stay out of feeling what's arising. It's very easy scrolling and with our very short attention spans to keep distracted. But this time that we're in is asking us to feel what is arising, to be healed, to be released. So I want to share today a couple of yogic breath practices that are very helpful when heavy, dark emotions and thoughts are arising, to be able to move that energy out without having to think about it, without having to defend, justify, trying to use your clever intellect. It is actually using the breath to shift your mind, to shift your state, to shift your energy. So what I want to begin with is a buzzing bee's breath. So just sit comfortably. You may wish to sit cross-legged. Get comfortable. Okay, give your shoulders a roll. Because to contact our breath, just move into the spine, into a concave position. Flex back. Stretch up your neck. We want to liberate the rib cage and open. Stretch, because when we want to begin breathing, we want to have the lungs free and flexible. We want to have our rib cage flexible. And we carry so much tension, every one of us, in our shoulder girdle, in our neck. It's like this is where we carry the weight of the world right here on us. So find yourself, when you're feeling stress or tension arising, just to do a little check-in and stretch. So this buzzing bee's breath is drawing in the breath, closing your eyes, letting your inner gaze lift to the midpoint in the forehead, to your third eye, and then creating a buzzing sound. I will demonstrate. And what you want to do is place the tip of your tongue behind your upper teeth. Just gently place the tip of the tongue there, as if it is like an arrow pointing the energy and the focus of the breath up into the third eye. And imagine as you're buzzing this sound that you are moving any of this energy of fear, of uncertainty, of anxiety, and whatever is buzzing through your body, allow it to come through that buzz, and imagine your third eye as this open gateway, that you're allowing it to move through you, and you're opening your third eye to activate and amplify your clear, higher sight. So deep breath again, in, tongue behind the upper teeth. So important just to have fun with it. And if you don't think you're getting it right, there is no right or wrong. Just imagine it and play with it and experience, because we are electrical beings. And we have the ability, when we breathe and use sound, to move out energy that is not serving us. And when our thoughts begin spinning and creating anxiety in the body, this buzzing bee's breath is very good for releasing anxiety, but it's also very good for shifting our state if we feel low energy or depressed. Because what it does is it charges the pineal gland and activates all the higher centers of the brain. It literally says, come on board now, and takes any of the energy that's been circulating in our body, like a free floating anxiety, fear, that is just bringing us into a state of contraction. What we're doing is actually expanding and using that energy to release it, to let it go. So one more time, the buzzing bee's breath. Bzzz. And you may with it if you want to imagine it as plugging in and powering up to your higher self. However you want to use that buzzing bee's breath, whenever we combine breath and sound with the intention that we are connecting to our higher consciousness, that we are releasing lower states, you are literally activating a higher state of energy in your body, creating calm where you had discord and anxiety, and activating. You'll start to feel your light body, your energy body, having more grounded energy as you do that buzzing bee's breath. Okay, so as I said, you may want to have a Kleenex nearby for this breath. So this breathing technique is the breath of fire. And in yogic traditions, the teachings of pranayama, this breath of fire is called, the Sanskrit word is kapalabhati breathing, or skull shining, because this breath is a very rapid breath of fire, And as we bring the breath in, it literally brings light into the brain, into the skull, nourishing, oxygenating. And in some Vedic traditions, this breath of fire is called the breath of immortality. Because as we breathe more deeply, and this is a very rapid breath, it literally, yes, activates vitality. It activates a feeling of well-being, and it literally, with the oxygenation of your brain and of your whole entire being, it is the elixir of youthening and brightening your every aspect of your being. So this breath of fire is like a pumping, as though your breath and your lungs are bellows. So I'm going to demonstrate, and as I said, you may wish to have a Kleenex nearby because you're going to be expelling the breath out of your nose. So think of your lungs as a bellows, and the focus is on the exhalation, and then the inhalation will just naturally come. There's no forcing of it. So I'm going to demonstrate this breath of fire with a long, slow inhalation, and then I'll go through one round of it. And always close with another long, slow, deep breath. So I'm going to demonstrate again. Breathe in, exhale through the mouth. So you may want to begin with a slow round of this breath of fire, and you may start to feel a bit lightheaded. So just take it at your own pace if this is new to you. Many of you who've practiced yoga are used to this. You may want to also place your hands on your belly, not to use it as a force or pushing it all, but just to feel the belly, because you will be feeling with this breath practice, the breath of fire, right down from the base of your spine and into your perineum, all the way up your spine. You will be feeling the force of this expulsion of the breath. And I want to do another version of this that's really good for cutting through energy if there's something that you want to release and powerfully do so with an action. And this is something, I've been doing the breath of fire for a long time, but I've been really enjoying learning from Dr. Sue Morter. And I want to share with you, I think when we show these things, they're backwards. A book that I highly recommend called The Energy Codes by Dr. Sue Morter. And I want to thank my friend Susan Eva for introducing me to Dr. Sue. And I highly recommend this book. It has very powerful practical tips on how to befriend any of these lower states that we've been talking about, and how to act your essential self. And Dr. Sue uses a practice of yoga that she has called body awake yoga, which we're going to put into this breath of fire now. And I learned this in the past few weeks. I will include this in my links for resources for resilience. Dr. Sue Morter, you can look her up at suemorter.com, is offering free 1-hour body awake yoga classes online at 11 a.m. on Mondays and Thursdays, Eastern Standard Time. Again, I will include that link. And I highly recommend her book, The Energy Codes. It's a wonderful deep dive into consciousness, and I love Sue's voice because she's so funny and real, and has spent decades as a doctor of chiropractic and an energy medicine practitioner. really, I can feel her heart of service. So I have found this book to be really a profound tool, and I wanted to share with you her body awake practice, that using this breath of fire with a hand motion of cutting. So doing the breath of fire, and as your hands are going across, almost like you can imagine whatever it is, a sword, cutting through whatever it is that you want to release from your life right now. So using the breath of fire with these sword motions. Deep breath in, deep breath out, and once again, breath of fire, and cutting through whatever it is that you want to release from your life right now. So you are building this Agni, this inner fire, as you do this practice with this, these arm and hand motions. And there is something powerful about when we feel out of control in our lives and emotionally. There's something so powerful about using yogic practices to anchor this feeling of agency. And that action of cutting through what we wish to release, well, if you just did it with me, you will feel how we can use this metaphor of using these swords that we have of our intention, of our breath, of sounding and cutting through the cords of whatever has held us. And whatever in this moment is arising, being able to meet it and move it. Move it out if we wish to release anxiety, depression, lethargy. And if it's something that is something that it's arising, perhaps it's sorrow, sadness, grief. There is much of this on the planet that is arising right now. It is palpable in the field. And so I wanted us together to chant today a mantra that is a very beautiful Vedic Sanskrit mantra for compassion. And this mantra is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. It means, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. And so I say that we have to begin with ourselves. We have to start in our own heart. In times when we feel overwhelmed by the sadness and grief of the world, to use that to cultivate and build the musculature of compassion in ourselves. And I bring in the teaching of Pema Chodron. Pema Chodron is a beautiful teacher of such compassion and grace. She's a Buddhist nun, an American Buddhist nun who lives in Canada at Gampo Abbey in Cape Breton. And in her book, that I also highly recommend at this time, many of her books, and one that has been my go-to for a decade, when I really need to draw deeply from a source of wisdom in difficult times, is called When Things Fall Apart, Heart Advice for Difficult Times. And Pema Chodron, in this book, speaks to the deep human paradox of being humbled by loss and death and change, which comes to us all. It is the natural wheel of samsara, the Sanskrit word for the turning of our experience of being human. We're born, we live, we die. We're born, we live, we die. And we have moments of great ecstasy and bliss along the way, profound happiness, profound expansion, and then we're contracted again by loss, by change, by grief. And right now, it's so amplified on the planet, this wheel of samsara, this moving. Sometimes on a daily basis, it's not even just day to day, it can be hour to hour. And Pema says, we need both our inspiration and our wretchedness to be whole. She says that our inspiration enlivens us, ennobles us, activates a great passion in us. And there is so much beauty in that. And she said in this book also, our wretchedness, when we fall apart, there is so much beauty and grace in our wretchedness because it develops our humility. It activates in us a knowing of what it is to lose, to hurt, to grieve. And then when others are experiencing this, we know what this is. It's not conceptual. It's not something we've read. We too have been forged in those fires of loss. Pamela Gerrand said, those who have suffered the most can console the most. And so this is what these times are calling us into, is this depth of compassion. So this Sanskrit mantra that I wish to bring to you today, it's a prayer of love for us to send into our own hearts and around the world, perhaps to begin, of course, to begin within our own heart, to circulate this Christ consciousness, this depth of love that is infinite, immortal, this deep well of mothering love, the love of the Great Mother, rising like sap from the spring trees to come into the trunk of our being as we feel right now where we are in the spring in the northern hemisphere. Our limbs may appear to be stark and gray, but there is a sap, there is a life force rising through us on this Easter Sunday, an elixir of the most exquisite mothering love to hold us in our pain, to help us rise from whatever darkness is growing our blossoming right now. So we cultivate this through this mantra from the Vedic tradition. It takes us from our egoic small self, our limited worldview, and radiates from us a global well-being. That our prayer is that as we contact our own pain and suffering and transmute it, just by showing up again and again with compassion for ourselves, with courage to choose again and again peace and unity, patience and discernment, harmony, wholeness. And to send this to our beloveds, our family members that we can't be with on this Easter Sunday. And to allow this mantra of compassion to rise through us, from us, as us. The words in Sanskrit are loka, samasta, sukhino bhavantu. Loka, samasta, sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. And may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. I take a sip of water to bless the waters within, to bless the waters of the world. For we are mostly water. And as we connect to the element of water, which is our emotional body, we connect into that flow, our elemental nature, connect to our divine nature, and bring that in to the triune of our earthly body, of this beautiful earthly vehicle that we have chosen to experience this great, glorious, magnificent journey of life. So I will begin this chant for compassion for ourselves, our beloveds, and all humanity. Listen if you know it, and even if you don't know it, just listen, drink it in, and if you wish to sing along with me, please do. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 And if you wish to place your hand on your heart, know that as I am chanting here in my living room, I am connecting to your heart. And together we are connecting to the heart of the one, to the heart of all. On this Easter Sunday, rising together, resurrecting our light body. For this is a time on planet Earth of unimaginable power. For as great is the darkness, as great is the light. And as deep is the contraction that we are squeezed in this birthing, so too does the mother feel the force of life moving through her. Nature and divinity, the great mystery itself. And the mother knows that all she need do is resist not, but to open to the miracle, to let the body do and be in the birthing all that it knows to do and be that is beyond the mind, that is a primordial, instinctual, expansive, exhilarating experience. This is what we are present to now. The resurrection, the rising of the human angel. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. I sing from my heart of deep respect, of powerful compassion for who you are, for you chose to be alive and awake at this time on planet Earth. And your tone, your note, is so needed in this symphony of transformation right now. For if you have found yourself here with me, or if you find yourself coming to this transmission at some time later today, or later in the week, later at another time altogether, you know, you can feel in your bones that you came for this time. You came to be part of this great shift, this great awakening, this great resurrection into the new earth, into this golden era where we embody the light, where we embody this infinite love that transforms all that is not love. And then we awaken to the truth that all there ever has been is love, and everything else has been a thorn and a rose petal on the path to us finding this out, each one of us in our own way. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 Loka samasta sukhino Breathe into this heart, this blossoming heart. May you be well, may you be free. May your happiness grow up like the lotus through the darkness, the mud, rising inexorably to the light. I invite you on this Easter Sunday to go on a treasure hunt. You may not have Easter eggs or chocolate, or you may, which is delightful too. I invite you to go on a treasure hunt, to find yourself in the deep silence, to go within and find within yourself the treasures within the stillness of your own answers, the embrace of your own self-love, self-compassion, the fires of your courage that are flaming there, this divine spark, this pilot light within the ebony of your fear. There is an ever-dwelling light. Go on this treasure hunt to find what you carry within you, for there is great comfort in knowing what you have been seeking has been seeking you. And what you have been seeking has always been right there within you. Wishing you much love today, peace and grace. Thank you for joining me in this space of sanctuary, our 10 days of lightness. And I will meet you here again tomorrow. Be well.